What up, peeps? Nick Battle, aka Nino's Corner, man. Look, we are here. Live call-in show today for the Nino's Corner podcast. We're going to talk about a bunch of the recruits that Texas just got. We just cleaned up, folks. We dominated. Texas just dominated the portal. And Texas has just dominated all the freaking recruiting folks for 24 and the 25 season as well. Texas started off this week getting Matthew Golden from Houston at the wide receiver position, also cleaning up guys and getting Andrew Makuba, from Clemson, a Austin kid, what I'm saying, local Austin guy that Texas was actually in for about 3 years ago. So he actually leaves and goes to Clemson, but now he's in the portal and he comes here to Texas. He just committed today. Also, folks, getting, man, look here, Xavier Filsamy. All right. This kid's a 5-star plus guy that was, actually committed to Florida. Texas was able to flip him. It's Mary flipping this already, folks. He is coming here to Texas, safety, which is something that Texas definitely needed. And then also, folks, we got a 2025, commit in Emory Winston, folks, a tight end. So Texas is doing their thing on the recruiting trail and also in the transfer portal. My boy Capes says I expected some commits for Wednesday, just not 3 in one day. And yes, 4 in like the span of 2 or 3 days, right? And so look, man, Texas is doing what they're supposed to do. The one thing that we said, folks, was that for Texas to be where they need to be next year going into the SEC, what do we need, folks? We needed to shore up that safety room. We're lacking speed in the safety room. We're losing Barron at the nickel. Losing Thompson, also being like a veteran presence, also losing Catalan as well, going to the portal. Texas needed to shore up bodies back there in the secondary, especially at that safety position, to assure that we can hang with the SEC wide receivers and the tight ends who will be bringing that speed, baby. So I'm telling you what we did. Look, we lost Catalan, we lose Thompson, and we go and get a prospect that is a 5-star plus prospect in Filsamy, man, who is a rangy guy who can go all over the place, folks. You got to love what you're going to see from him. Look, Texas is addressing the speed issue and just the talent, the lack of the depth of talent at Texas with guys like, Phil Sami is, and also with Derek Williams from the previous cycle. We saw Derek Williams play a lot this year, folks. He's starting. He played a lot this year. I'm not saying Phil Sami is going to be a guy that's going to come in and start, but he's going to be a guy that's going to come in and compete. You couple that, folks, with what we just got in Kobe Black as well, coming in at the cornerback position, who can also play safety as well. But the guy that I love, folks, the guy that I love is Andrew Makuba, man. I love him for the simple fact that not only can he play safety, he can drop down and play nickel. And since we're losing Barron, folks, this is going to help out a lot, to where if he can play that star position and be the nickel, then we have a guy who can not only tackle, a guy that can also cover well. He's a hell of a player. He's a guy that will be playing on Sundays as well. But honestly, if he doesn't play, just that nickel position, what if he moves back to safety? Where's he going to fit in that safety? You got Derek Williams, you got Tav. Where does he fit in? Whose job does he take? Do they rotate? You can't rotate a guy like that who is coming in from Clemson, who has proven production, but you also have proven production that's already here on campus, man. This is a great spot in a situation here for Texas. Now, let's say, for instance, a guy like, let's say Gilbo comes in and does this thing and is the next guy to be that nickel position. Now we're looking at versatility just amongst the whole backfield when it comes to the DBs. You're looking at next year, our weak point, our quote unquote weak point that everybody loves to talk about at Texas is our secondary. All right. And so next year, Watts is gone. So we got Terrence Brooks, we got Manny Muhammad as our cornerbacks, Gavin Holmes as well, Kobe Black coming in. He's going to compete at cornerback as well. Santana Wilson, he's coming in to compete at cornerback and possibly safety. At the nickel position, look, you got Gilbo, you got Andrew. Also, we got Jordan Johnson Rebel, man. We got Jordan Johnson Rebel coming in as well. All right. And then, folks, you look at Phil Simi coming in at that safety position, too. Texas has depth. And then Arian Hampton, who is recruited here at Texas as an athlete. So many thought that he was going to come in at wide receiver, but it looks like Texas wants him at that defensive back position. And I tell you what, man, we are flooded with a bunch of talent here at Texas. I love to see what Texas has done here, but I love that with Texas losing a lot in the secondary, Ryan Watts and Thompson and Catalan and Barron, we got to understand who is going to replace those guys. And Sark went straight to the portal and got exactly what he needed. Andrew Makuba is going to be a blessing here, folks, coming here playing in the secondary next year. All right. Feels to me, guys, we're going to see just a guy that can go sideline to sideline, great speed, great instincts. I mean, this is a great pickup. We are robbing Florida, and not only getting him, we got his ex Florida teammate, in Wardell Mack, right? And so they weren't teammates per se at Florida; they were committed together. But we got both of those guys from Florida. They're now committed to the University of Texas. You gotta love it. You have to love it. Also, folks, like I said, Emory Winston, man, a big tight end, folks, a big tight end for the 2025 class. And this is necessary as well because, folks, we're losing JT Sanders, possibly losing JT Sanders, to the draft this year. And so now we'll have a guy like Gunnar Helm come in. We got Will Randall as well. We got Spencer Shannon. We got Juan Davis as well. But the tight end position, losing a guy who's one of the better tight ends here in the country. He's going to be a bona fide, like day 2 pick if he goes to the draft this year, in JT Sanders. But losing him is going to hurt. So how do we stretch that field? Sark and team have not been, adamant in getting a tight end here in the portal. So what does that mean? Does it mean JT Sanders is coming back? Who knows? Is there a possibility? Who knows? But that's one thing that I kind of been paying attention to. How do we fill that tight end room? But also, is there any tight ends out there to go get? Right. And so, Sark has to weigh out all the options. I want to see Sark also. I want to see this team get another defensive tackle. We're losing Sweat and Murphy, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the recruits we have now. Hicks is talking about just need that Ty Anthony flip. Yes, we need to flip them like pancakes, baby. A&M is in a free fall right now. We are getting recruits left and right. Ty Anthony, man, he would be outstanding at linebacker. I was flying up to Connecticut on Friday night. So I left Montgomery about 6:30 at night, and I flew up to Connecticut. Me and the family had like a Christmas cocktail party, right? I know, right? Fancy shit, right? So, I'm watching the huddle film of Ty Anthony Smith, and my God, he's a heat missile. He is something else, man. He is a linebacker through and through. Like, he doesn't play around. Sees ball, sees guy, sees ball, hits guy with the ball kind of dude. But, man, he's so fast, man. He's all over the place. You see him on the edge. You see him playing middle linebacker. You see him playing weak side. He is all over the place, and he doesn't mind hitting people. He's violent. The only thing about him, he's a little small now. But guess what? That gives time for Texas to develop a guy like Ty Anthony Smith, man. And we've seen what Texas has done. Yes, he doesn't have the college-ready body like an anthill, right? Or like a, Benda should be back next year as well. We got Akana and we got LaFau, we got Samaje Burrell also. So we are pretty stacked there as far as numbers and talent-wise. It just has to be proven talent on the field that we haven't seen yet. But Ty Anthony Smith would be a guy that is going to be in that linebacker room if he does flip. He hasn't flipped, folks. He hasn't flipped yet, but if he does flip, that'd be something great. But talking about the guys that we got here, folks, just let me know your thoughts, man. I am in love with the Andrew, pickup, man. Makuba's going to be a great pickup here, folks. I mean, he's a guy, like I said, he can play, nickel. He can play safety. He is that versatile. And we've seen him do it at the highest level at Clemson. He was one of their shining stars on defense this year as well. And to see him come down and now come back home, play in Austin because he's from Austin, right? His high school coach is now on staff at Texas. So it is all makes sense. He gets to come home, get some, some home cooking from mama, some seasoning from mama, man. And then also go and play in the NFL after a couple years. I think he has 2 years left to play, if I'm not mistaken. But getting him and couple that with Phil Simi, guys, we are shoring up the positions that we thought were a weakness of this season. And folks, I won't say it's a weakness. It's just that our units were so strong in the trenches, Sweat and Murphy being so strong, and then seeing Burt come on, and also seeing Baron Surreal, him continue to mature as a player. We're seeing that and seeing how great that was this year. And then having Jalen Ford, a previous All-American, and then a five-star, freshman All-American, and Hill, and seeing Benda, just just really good depth at that linebacker position, really good. Also, look, man, Blackwell, Mo Blackwell, man, he is awesome as well. He has done some great things here at Texas too. So we're pretty stacked in the front seven. There's just our secondary, as far as the speed aspect, was probably a little lacking, but they played well, folks. Look, the secondary is going to get picked on when you stop the run every game, which is what Texas has done. They have stopped the run every game. Yes, your secondary is going to get picked on a little bit, and those numbers will get skewed a little bit. But the Texas team here has picked up a lot of depth now, a lot of depth, and guys that should come in and be instant starters. Andrew Makuba is going to come in and be an instant starter, whether it's at nickel or at safety. Like I said, folks, you couple that with Manny Muhammad from the 2023 class, with Terrence Brooks from the 2022 class, Gavin Holmes, who came in as a transfer, right? And then at the safety positions, folks, you're going to have Derek Williams, who we've seen the flashes from and know that he's going to be a Sunday player. The guy has first-round potential written all over him. And then also you couple that with Michael Taft, who is just he's the master technician. He is everywhere on the field. He is where he needs to be every freaking play, man. I'm telling you, Texas is in a good spot. Sark has addressed every need that this team needs to actually progress in the SEC once we go there next year. There were two spots where I felt that Texas needed to come in and do great things, whether it's the portal or whether it's just getting commits. And that's on the defensive line going into the SEC and in the secondary, right? And we are shoring up things on the defensive line. Hopefully a guy like Alfred Collins comes back. But you got him and Vernon Broughton, right? You got Mitchell, big Sadir Mitchell, man. He's a big human, right? You also got you got Trill Carter, perfect name for somebody playing in Texas, right? And then we went out and got Alex January, DeAndre Robinson as well. We got guys on the line still with Aaron Bryant and Zach Swanson, Jere Bledsoe on those edges, folks, having guys like Jamon Tapp and Ethan Burke and Baron Surreal, right? Justice Finkley, and now bringing in the top edge in the country and Colin Simmons also, man. This Texas defense is set up just fine to go in and play in the SEC this year. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So, man, let me know all you guys' thoughts exactly on what Texas did here in this recent 3 or 4 days. I didn't even talk about Matthew Golden yet. Let's talk about Matt Golden. Texas is probably going to lose Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell, right? And so Sark understands that. So what does he do? He goes and he shores up that wide receiver position. You got to look at the wide receiver that's going to have the most catches at Texas starting next year. It's going to be Cook, man. You know what I'm saying? So Jonte Cooks, he's going to be he is the wide receiver with the most catches next year. He's a true freshman this year. I think he only has like 5 or 6 catches. But now we bring in somebody, Matthew Golden. If I'm not mistaken, he went to Klein, played with Jaden Blue as well. It's a guy that was, if I'm not mistaken, he was originally committed to TCU. Then he decommitted and then went to U of H and has been very good at U of H. Didn't have the best season this year because just the quarterback position has been such in flux, for Houston. He's going to come here and get better quarterback play with Quinn day one, a better offensive line play, which is going to mean that he's going to be able to get open a lot more, have more time to get open, and then better running back play that is going to take, the top off of him. Basically, these guys might have to get into the box to stop the CJ Baxter, to stop a Jaden Blue, to stop a Savion Red, a Trey Wisner, Gibson, a Christian Clark. We're stacked. We're stacked, folks. And you got to love what you're seeing out of here from Texas, man. But look, man, getting Matthew Golden is just straight awesome because he can play a lot of positions. I think he comes in and he's the guy that can come in and play exactly what X played. Right. And he can kind of mirror exactly what he did. But just one more thing that he does is he's a great returner. Right. And so, X-Man was a second team All American on special teams because he's a great returner as well. And so you get a guy like Matthew Golden, who is somebody who can score a touchdown from anywhere in the field, whether he is catching the ball, as a wide receiver, as a slot, or whether he is returning the ball as a kick returner or a punt returner. So we're getting a guy who is a versatile player. And when we're looking at here in the current scheme of college football, you want positionless football. You want positionless players, folks. And when I say positionless players, man, I'm talking about guys that can play multiple positions. And that is what Texas has done with all of these people that they have brought in, minus probably Emory Winston, who is going to be just, basically strictly a tight end. But you look at the other players, you're looking at a Filsamy, who is a safety, but my God, this guy has speed, man. And this guy can probably bump down and play slot if he needs to in a pinch. Right. I mean, he's that good. Will he be the best slot, guy? Probably not, but he will be able to do it in the pinch if needed to be. But he is one hell of a safety, a 5-star plus guy. Andrew Makuba, another guy who is playing positionless football here in Texas, because not only can he play the nickel, but he can also play the safety position as well. So you're getting guys who can fit multiple roles on this team, right? And then you look at Matthew Golden, positionless football, folks, wide receiver, kick returner, punt returner. He can do it all. And we've seen what he did in high school, I think at Klein. Yeah, so Houston Klein, and just seeing how great of a prospect he was when he was in high school, and then seeing him at Houston, what he's able to do, right? He was able to do great things. And now he's going to be able to showcase that talent in the SEC with Texas at the start of the 2024 season. So Texas is recruiting a lot of guys that is positionless football. Yeah, I need that Trey Moore commit. What's up, Harris? Hey, I'm with you, man. Come on, Trey Moore. Go ahead and pull that trigger, baby. Pull that trigger, Trey Moore. We need you, baby. The Darius says Sark and company got UT becoming the hot spot for recruits to want to come to Texas. Yes, that is so underrated. This is an underrated comment. Texas has the built-in everything. We have the built-in city, right? I'm not taking shots at any other school, but look, I've been to plenty of schools. I've been to Alabama. I've been to Tuscaloosa. You picking Tuscaloosa or you picking Austin? I've been to College Station. Are you picking College Station or are you picking Austin? I've been to Ole Miss. Are you picking Ole Miss or are you picking Austin? I've been to Mississippi State. Look, Texas has all the built-in advantages. They have the great school. Academics is second to none when it comes to public schools. We got this thing called a public Ivy, right? And a public Ivy means these are public schools that have such great academic credentials that people think of them as a public Ivy school. And there's only so many schools that are like that. And I think it's Texas, it's North Carolina, it's Michigan. I think Florida is also in there as well. But it's not many public schools that they look at as public Ivies. And that's what Texas has the reputation of being. Just a few years ago, they were the number 32 ranked school in the nation. When you're looking at engineering and stuff, which I'm an engineer, we're always top 10 in the nation, on any school where there's computer science or, double E, or where there's mechanical engineering or civil. These guys are always the top of the country. Business school, always one of the tops in the country. Texas is an outstanding academic institution where you're in the middle of a big city, in the capital of the state of Texas, and it's a city within the city. And so you have the 6th Streets, and you have the freaking domains, and you have all the parties, and it is just one hell of a school. So these kids are understanding that they can go to a big time school that is a big city, that has the Teslas there and the Googles there and the Texas Instruments there, to where they can go and get, Lamborghinis there. You got headquarters for different restaurants and corporations where your NIL money can flourish. And you can, either be good and just go to school to play football, or you can go to school to make money, or you can come to Texas and do both, right? You can be a Bijan Robinson and have a Lamborghini deal and a Raising Cane deal, and other deals, and make $2 million in NIL money, but also be a Doak Walker Award winner in a huge city, right? No other fan base treats their players and treats their own like Texas does. And I can vouch for that, being a Texas grad. And I never even played sports at Texas, but I tell you what, being a Texas grad and being in this podcasting, like situation, you can imagine some of the reach back that I'm able to do because I'm a Texas grad. I'm a Texas X. I can reach back to some of the players from the previous teams, from the guys that were on the '05 team. I can reach back and call a few guys. I can reach back and talk to um, players who are walk-ons during that time frame too, and get their perspective on what it's like to be a walk-on, walking into a team that is destined for greatness. I've been able to reach back and do that because of the University of Texas, and that's on a small scale, right? That's on a small scale. Look at what these guys are able to do, man. These guys are able to tap in and talk to Matthew McConaughey or, this is normal stuff here at Texas. And it might be a lot of hoop off other schools, but here it's normal. But now what Sark is doing and what Harris just said, Sark was the final puzzle piece to what was always a hot spot for recruiting. And yes, Mac Brown had this thing rocking. He had this thing rocking when he was at Texas, right? He was able to lock up competition, folks. Now he was able to lock up commits. There were times when Mac would have a junior day and have his whole class locked up. He would have a junior day in the summer and his whole class be locked up in a week. Like he didn't have to recruit anymore. And these were the top kids that everybody wanted in the country. That's what Mac Brown was able to do with like little effort. Now, folks, we're looking at Sarkisian. You're seeing his recruiting and what he is doing here at Texas and how he stays on guys. Like he does not give up. You might sound with somebody else like a Wardell Mack or Phil Simi, but he's not going to give up on you. And what happens at the end when those built-in relationships that Sark has, and he can sell not only the relationship that him and his coaching staff has with a guy, but he can also sell the city of Austin. He can also sell that these guys are getting drafted now. That was one knock that people would always say about Texas is one, Texas doesn't play in the SEC, so it's not in the best conference. Two, Texas doesn't get guys drafted. That is all going to be a thing in the past now because guess what? One, Texas is going to the SEC next year. Also, number one, Texas went into Alabama and beat Alabama in Bama. Another piece of number one is that Texas is going to the SEC. And also, we're playing in the college football playoffs in a couple weeks. Number two, Texas didn't send guys to the league. Well, that's a myth now. Underneath Sark's, like his team and his development, Bijan Robinson was going to get drafted. We know that. So I won't even give Sark the credit for that. But I will say Sark and Choice got the best out of Bijan. He's a Doak Walker Award winner. We're seeing Sark bringing in a guy like Xavier Worthy, who was committed to Michigan. Now he comes here. He's an All-American. And he's going to be drafted in the first 2 days of the upcoming NFL draft. We're seeing the development. We're seeing guys that transfer in like Adonai Mitchell and seeing how in just 1 year, how the narrative has changed on him and how he could potentially be a first-round draft pick. That's called development and also knowing the guys that fit your system. Players look at this, folks, knowing the guy that fits your system and understanding that you can get the best out of them for a limited amount of time. And that's what Sark did with Adonai Mitchell. Right. And then this year's draft, folks, if everybody goes into the draft this year, you're looking at guys, you're looking at Jonathan Brooks might get drafted this year, even with a torn ACL. Right. If JT Sanders goes in the draft, JT Sanders, Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, Christian Jones. Let's stop for a minute. Let's talk about the development piece. Matter of fact, we'll talk about that in a minute. Christian Jones, right? Byron Murphy, Sweat, Jalen Ford, Barron. That is 9 guys that had the potential to be drafted this year. 9, folks. This is an opportunity. Texas is starting to flex right now. That not only can we get players drafted, but we're going to get players who some of you guys thought would never see an opportunity to get drafted. They're going to get drafted now. Who would have thought 3 years ago, Christian Jones is going to be a draftable player? Let's be honest. Nobody in this chat would ever thought that. The development that this coaching staff is doing with these players is outstanding. Who would have thought if I'd have told you guys 2 years ago that Sweat might be a first-round draft pick, you guys would laugh at me, right? Because we just didn't see it on the field yet. But this is showing the development of a guy like Bo Davis and what he's doing with his team, right? So we're looking at Texas is debunking all the myths that all the teams had about Texas, that they never develop players. You're going to be a 5-star and go there to basically die, right? No, 5 stars here are shining. You're seeing CJ Baxter shine, Manny Muhammad shine, Derek Williams shine, Kelvin Banks Jr. shine, DJ Campbell doing this damn thing. You know what I'm saying? So look, we're seeing 5-star guys come in and be 5-star talent, and now they're matched up with the 5-star culture that people said Texas was missing. And so with that culture piece, I want to talk about the culture piece for a minute. Sark and company aren't bringing in, the Ajay Halls and the Billingsley's anymore. We had to bring them in the first year. We needed talent. We were strained for talent, folks. We needed talent. Sark's not doing it anymore. Sark is making sure that these guys fit his system and his culture, because that locker room culture that Texas has built in now is outstanding. It's beautiful. This is a player-led team right now. Sark is doing this thing. He's coaching his ass off. But this is a player-led team, meaning that the players are the ones recruiting these guys to come. And you don't see a bunch of starters hitting the portal. Let's be honest. The guys that are hitting the portal are guys that got passed over by other players, right? I look at guys that have left the secondary. They got jumped by Michael Taft and a true freshman. There's a reason why they're in the portal, folks, right? This is what it is, and then we're looking at guys that have graduated, like a Gorham Welch. He's a guy that played defensive line, and now he swapped over to offensive line. But he's behind, a slew of 5-stars on the offensive line. So he's going to be able to go and play, and do great things somewhere else. But it's so stacked here, right? And so you're seeing what Sark is doing. He is making sure that the floor of the Texas team is high. The floor is high. You want the floor to be able to have guys that can come in and play. So, guys, this year, our floor for right tackle is Cam Williams. It's pretty damn good, isn't it? We saw Cam Williams play and start for a game, and he had one of the highest grades of all Big 12 offensive linemen in the game that he started in when Christian Jones got hurt. So that should tell you something. All right, folks, let's look at Frank has a comment. Frank says, Golden, so Matthew Golden, he did score 2 touchdowns against us when we played Houston. Yeah, exactly. So look, hey, I don't want you to do it again no more. Come over here and join the good guys. Mr. 512, what's up, baby? He says, let's go. So Matt says he's hearing Sanders is about to announce he's staying, which, hey, I don't know if that's true or not, but if Sanders stays, that might be a reason why Sark's not looking in the portal. All right, for a tight end. And if he's staying, if Sanders stays, oh my God, Quinn Ewers and Sanders and that offensive line and CJ Baxter and Jaden Blue and Gunnar Helm. Don't forget Gunnar Helm, y'all. He can ball. Yeah. Mr. 512 says sell the offensive scheme. Exactly. You got to sell the scheme. That's what Sark's been doing. Ryan Watts. Yeah. So, but Watts is gone, right? Watts is, this is Watts' last season, so I think he's going into the draft. Sharpshooters Podcast. My brother, what's up, Sharpshooters? Hey, guys, go follow my boy Sharpshooters Podcast. I will forgive him. He is a Bama fan, folks. So please forgive him. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't blessed like the rest of us. I'm just joking with you, Sharp, man. Look, Sharp's my guy, man. Not only does he talk about great football content, he's also really good in just talking about music too, man. So good dude, Sharpshooters Podcast. Go search that on YouTube. Follow that. Yeah, bear down to the depth chart. The depth, not depth. The rant by Bo was the best thing that happened to the Texas culture. It was the best thing that happened. Really and truly, the best thing that happened was the guy who got kicked off the team who recorded it and leaked it. That was the best thing that happened. So whoever that was, and I know who it was, but I won't, say his name here on camera, but he's a Longhorn legend. Thank you, Mr. Guy that's kicked off the team, for leaking that Bo Davis footage, because you're a Longhorn legend now, because not only did that change the culture internally, it let everybody know it let everybody know what was going on behind the scenes with this coaching staff and how they felt about this team. And they wanted to win. They wanted to win. Sharpshooters, yeah, most definitely. Hit the like button, folks. You guys are in here, man. Hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Helps with trying to grow a lot. Mr. 512, death, my bad. Yeah, not dead 512. Come on, baby. Nigel Robertson says, who's next? Look, we got a lot of things going on, brother. We got a lot of things going on, man. Look, man, we got Ty Anthony Smith. He's an opportunity, right? He has been recruited as possibly being the only linebacker in his class. He's the guy that is currently committed to Texas A&M. Can Texas flip him? Texas A&M also has a defensive lineman that I think Texas wants, and I always forget this guy's name. It's like, give me a second. I'm gonna check this out. Because look, I want to bring you guys the most up to date news, man, because I want to see this too. On3, Texas A&M football commits. It's a defensive lineman. It's not Dominic McKinley. That's what we want. Oh, Evans. He's a high 4-star guy, man. I think it's the Allen, Evans from Longview, Texas. This is a guy that might hit the portal too as well, and that's somebody who I would love to get in the defensive line. Big kid at 6'5", 260 pounds, 270 pounds. That'd be awesome. Hicks says yes, that is true. Norton, I think. No, I'm thinking Evans, Matt. I'm thinking Evans. iFuture says the best part of this season isn't signing day anymore. This is how it feels to be on the winning side. Yes, and so. Dude, man, I wish, everybody who has been here and everybody who's in this room and like who's in this chat, you guys have been 10 toes down. You guys have been some of the best fans we've had, and not only on my channel, but channels like, Lando's channel and, Nash's channel and, Steven's channel and Texas Homer and, just a crew of all those Karen, Texas Football Talk, Clinton Jeremy. Look, you guys have been with us through the bad times, right? You guys have stood 10 toes down through the bad times. And so now you guys, are finally getting a taste of what it's like to be on the winning side. I lived through it from 01 to 05, and I was in campus at school, and I was the RA for all these football players. And we had a lot of fun together and stuff, man. When they won the first Rose Bowl and when they won the second one, and I knew a ton of those guys. Whether it's the Tony Hills or the Tim Crowders, the Jay Scotts, man, all those guys, Robert Timmons and the Eric Hardemans and the George Walkers, and like all those guys are my dudes, right? So, it was good to see them win, but that was normal for us. It was normal to see them win, and oh man, said Benson, rest in peace, man. But yeah, it was good to see it, but it was expected, and now. Look, Texas went through a 12 to 13-year drought where it was not good times for Texas. But you guys have pretty much stayed the truth in being some of the best fans possible. And this makes it so much sweeter when you guys get to kind of see that. And so, look, college football goes in cycles. And I'm pretty sure that my bro Sharp, he can say this too. Alabama has been great, for the last, 13, 14 years. But prior to that, before Saban got there, Alabama went through a lull. They were on suspension for violations in recruiting, and they went through a little deep spot. But that's college football. Everything goes in cycles. You remember when USC was the best thing ever? The best thing since sliced bread. They had a good 8-9 year run with Carroll, and then after Carroll left, it kind of went in swings, and they're still trying to get out of that dump for a minute. But look, man, it is college football's in cycles, and now I think Texas is back, and I think that they are. On the upswing, and I should say on the upswing. We're in the college football playoffs, man. Own it. We're doing well. We're one of the top 4 teams in the country, and it's not by coincidence. It's the way that Sark has built this team. And Sark has built this team from the inside out. It's a lot different than what we've seen, in the past. With Herman and and Charlie Strong. One thing I will give Herman and Strong, they did recruit the defensive lines well, but the offensive lines they didn't at all. And so that's one thing that Texas was lacking. And so now when you look at the Texas class now, you're looking at the Texas class as far as commits, as far as guys that we are recruiting from high school. Those prospects are guys that are, no kidding, high octane, high class offensive linemen and defensive linemen. And what are we doing in the portal? We're supplementing the skill position players, right? We're supplementing, not the trenches. We're not recruiting trenches in the portal. We are recruiting skill position, because guess what? It's easy to make a skill position guy look great if a quarterback has enough time. If the line is blocking like they're supposed to, it's easy to make a skill position guy look great when the team is running efficiently in the lines. In the previous regimes, we would recruit our butts off at the skill positions, at the running backs, the wide receivers, tight ends, cornerbacks, safeties. But guess what? We didn't have. We didn't have the trench work. And so what Tom Herman and the previous coaching staff and Charlie Strong they would do is recruiting trench work. Tom Herman getting guys like Parker Braun, Calvin Anderson, right? I mean, we had to go out and get guys that we needed to, no kidding, fill spots. Calvin Anderson was godsend for us, right? He was godsend, but we had to go get a Rice tackle to come play at the University of Texas. And we would not have been the team that we were in that year without Calvin Anderson, right? He was godsend. But that's what Texas had to go to. Now Texas is able to go find plug and play skill position players, which is a lot easier to do. There are a lot more wide receivers. There are a lot more good wide receivers in college football than there are good offensive linemen. There are a lot more good safeties and cornerbacks in college football than there are good defensive linemen. Those guys are hard to find. And so Texas coaching staff is killing it right now. They're killing it right now in the recruiting of the lines, and they're also killing it in the portal with supplementing skill position players that can come in and plug and play. And that's when the team is functioning at their best. Look, Sharp will probably tell you this. Go look at Alabama's 2021 wide receiver recruiting class. I saw a stat on this yesterday, and I was floored with it, but it floored me, but it really didn't. There is not one wide receiver left, I think, from the 2021 and the 2020 and the 2021 class. All of them had transferred out of Alabama. But you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. Right? Alabama's still in the college football playoffs. They lost skill position players. They lost Jai Halls and everybody else. They lost 5-star guys at wide receiver. But you know what they didn't lose? They didn't lose offensive line. They continue to recruit offensive line great. Their starting offensive line is either the first or the second ranked player at their position in high school recruiting at their year group, right? So you got the number one left tackle in the nation come out of high school in Proctor. You having all these guys to come in on that line that are no kidding high profile offensive linemen. On the defensive line, you're seeing just Bama's defense line is always stout, man. I don't even want to name all of them because you had guys like the Will Andersons and now the Dallas Turners and everybody else on that line, man. Where you don't have to go plug and play. It's hard to find those guys, man. It's hard to find those guys. So Bama is still in the college football playoffs with not having one wide receiver recruit from a class just a couple classes ago. They're all transferred out, but who cares? You know what they go do? You go plug and play another wide receiver. You go get a Burton or, Burton came from Georgia, right? You go get, like 2 years ago, a Jameson Williams, and you go get guys like that to plug and play because look, when the line's great, you can plug and play. All right. So Matt says the balance we have with in-house development and using the portal is working out great. Exactly, Matt. Exactly. It is working out perfect. Texas development has been a true beauty. To see what Bo Davis has done in that defensive line. Jeff Choate at the linebacker position. Now, this is what worries me. Well, I wouldn't say worries me. Sark and company are going to hire a great linebacker coach. I don't have any problems with the hiring that Coach Sarkisian has done. I questioned it at first because he hired most of his staff before he hired his coordinators, which lets me know either he talked to his coordinators before they were officially hired and they brought in guys, or Sark was just like, hey, y'all guys going to work and y'all going to make it happen, right? And I don't know which one it was, but it's worked out. We've seen great development in every aspect of this team, especially on the offensive line, the defensive line. Cal Flood, man, pay that man whatever he wants. Being the O-line coach and also the OC and name, as well. Cal Flood has been that guy. One of the best developers of talent on the offensive line in the nation, if not the best. We saw what he did at Bama. We saw what he did when he was the head coach at Rutgers. We saw what he did with the Falcons. And now we're seeing what he's doing here at Texas. So this team is developing in-house, outstanding. You got to love it. You got to love it. Our future says, in my opinion, Texas put college football on notice. I didn't expect us to make it this far due to the staff's first classes being young still. What's going to happen when the 22 class and 23 class is older and experienced? And if key players decide to come back, um, if key players decide to come back, Texas is going to be highly favored to be a top 4 team, top 3 team, maybe number 1 team in the country if certain players do decide to come back. That's how stacked this team is. Texas is in a good spot. Texas is in a good spot. So when those 22 and 23 guys, so let's say, for instance, Quinn Ewers is a 22 guy, right? So Quinn, he'll be here in 24. So this will be his 3rd year in the system. He's going to be light years better next year. CJ Baxter, he's a 23 guy, right? He's going to be a sophomore next year. He's going to be healthy next year, right? Jaden Blues, he's a 22 guy. Previous number 1 running back in the country before he had to sit out his senior year. And that's when the recruiting services turned their back on him and didn't strat him, and rank him as high as they should. He was the number 1 running back in the country, folks. He was on his way to getting a 5-star, right? He was on his way to getting a 5th-star. So you see him. You see a Jonte Cook, 23 class, 2nd year next year, 5-star guy. That this is the offense. You see DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingle coming in for this class too as well. Man, we're set. Sark is doing his thing. Niblet, who runs a 10-4 in the 100-meter dash, man. So to see that speed that is going to be out here is going to be outstanding. Cape says, did practice already start for the playoffs? Yes, I think they had Shell's practice, if I'm not mistaken, Saturday. But they should be practicing here for this week. Get released for Christmas, come back and practice the week going up into the bowl game. So, yeah, it's already started. Kevin Templeton says, I hope that they get someone from the NFL level as linebacker coach. I just want them to get the best player. I want them to get the best coach possible. And maybe that is somebody from the college level, because these guys got to go recruit, man. They got to go recruit and they got to develop. And developing somebody who's already been developed at the college level and is coming in to be a grown man and play immediately in the NFL is a lot different than molding a high school kid who was in prom 6 months ago into being a bona fide stud that is going to help a team win 10 plus games a year. And now with the new playoff schedule, with it being 12 teams, we need guys that can come in and possibly play year 1, year 2 that are not going to hinder this team from losing more than 2 games. So it's get the best fit. Get the best fit that knows how to recruit, and get the best fit that knows how to develop talent. But look, I trust Sark in this, man. Sark ain't made a bad hire yet, man. I trust him. Horns and Tuss says they practice until Friday and come back Christmas and roll out. Yep, that's what I said. Sharp says Texas is definitely here to stay, and I love to see it. I do too. College football is always better when your big brands are good, right? And this is one thing I will give to my OU brothers, man, that I hate talking good about OU, but I will for this. OU has been good. They have been 10-win team last decade, right? They've held up. They're in the bargain in the Big 12. And Texas hasn't over the last decade. Now these teams are peaking, 10 plus wins for each. OU had 10 this year. I think we had 12 with the bowl win. We had 12 with the Big 12 championship win. But we're stepping into the SEC with double-digit wins. Sark's been here 3 years. BV only 2, and has his team winning 10 games in his 2nd year. Just outstanding. So when your big brands are good, your Texas, your OUs, Alabamas, Michigans, Ohio States, USCs. I want Florida to get back good again. LSU. Those are your big brands, man. When those guys are kicking butt, your Florida States, it's good to see Florida State good, right? I want to see Miami get good, right? Like, I want to see the U be good again. Look, I want to see Penn State be somebody that can be a formidable opponent for anybody again. I want to see that happen, because when your big brands are good, it's great for college football. It's just great for college football. Let's see. It says, okay, I think the last part of being here to stay is knowing that coaching will get snapped and will get snapped and making sure to replace them with the same coaching talent that matches your philosophy. Exactly. Exactly. But that's why when you see Sark go and snatch guys up, right? Like he waited a while to hire Chris Jackson. Pretty sure we could have filled that wide receiver. I'm pretty sure people were calling him to, like to get that job. But he waited. He understood that he wanted to make the right fit. And you can tell Sark is making the right fit. He's bringing in guys. Like, I don't think Cal Flood's ever going to leave his position. Like, why would he? He's the offensive coordinator and an offensive line coach. He loves developing offensive line talent. He gets to do what he wants and make great money doing it. Doesn't have the headache of being the head coach anymore. He's at the highest position you can be in college football without being a head coach. On paper, he is the offensive coordinator at the University of Texas. He's loving life. Chris Jackson. Chris Jackson now is a wide receiver coach who has been in the, he was in the league for some time. I think he coached at college for a little bit too as well. No, he didn't. He was the Bears assistant wide receiver coach and then left there to go be the wide receiver coach for Jacksonville. And it's like he probably loves developing wide receivers. And he's a grown man in the room that is comfortable. He's comfortable where he's at, making a great salary, working in Austin. He gets to develop the next group of guys that are going to go to the league. And now he can put in his resume, Adonai Mitchell. If he goes to the league, came here 1 year, had his best season ever. In his previous 2 seasons, guess what? He won championships. But even after he won 2 championships and was one of the best players on the field for Georgia in those championship runs, he had his best season overall. We kept him healthy. He had his best season at the University of Texas as a transfer with 1 year under me. And imagine if I had him for 3. That's what Chris Jackson can do. He can go in there and pump his chest out and say, that's me, right? Look at a guy like, X. X had a really good season this year, right? And he probably had bigger numbers if he wasn't if Adonai Mitchell was on the team. But look here, he was able to get the best out of Xavier Worthy. Great all around coaching staff here by Texas. See, Harris goes, not Harris, Harish. It's the last step, if you will, for Stark's coaching prowess to start building his tree. That's true. Get your tree built. So Kevin Templeton said the second O-line team is going to be nasty. You already see signs when they are blocking for Arch. Exactly. Look at this second O-line, man. I want you guys to think about this for a minute. You got Cam Williams, right, at right tackle, who's being cross-trained at right tackle and at left tackle as well, right? Well, first off, let's just start. Okay, so let's just say, for instance, next year's line is going to be Kelvin Banks Jr., right? Hayden Connor at the left guard. It's going to be a dogfight between him and Neto. It's going to be a dogfight. The center, Jake Majors, he's been worked his weight in gold. We've seen what Jake Majors can do. People hated on it because of strength, probably me included, but it takes different players longer to mature into the player that they're going to be, right? It just does. Christian Jones took him 4 years to become the player that he was going to be. You see the development with Cal Flood and what he's done with these players. I was talking to Topi Amadi in a group chat, and I said, I wish I would have seen Cal Flood have Topi Amadi for 3 years. We saw what Topi was able to do in like 6 months. Imagine if Cal Flood had it for 3 years. We're talking about a guy that's probably in the league right now, right? So it took Jake Majors longer to develop. It just did. But different players' bodies are different than the other. Everybody's not Kelvin Banks Jr., but Jake Majors he's that guy. He's the rock at center for this team. One of the smartest players in the team from what everybody says. He calls the right calls, and he's playing his ass off. At right guard, folks, DJ Campbell. Nothing else needs to be said. And then at right tackle next year, Cam Williams, right? So now let's say Kelvin Banks goes to the draft, and let's say Hayden Connor's gone to the draft too, and Jake Majors is going to be gone too. And now we're left with DJ Campbell and Cam Williams. Who fills those other 3 positions, right? So look, left tackle, does Big Cam Williams move to left tackle? Possibly, right? Possibly. And then at left guard, you got Neto. At center, Daniel Cruz, right? Or Hudson, Cole Hudson, because he's been cross training there as well. Oh my God, I forgot Cole Hudson. That's how stacked we are, folks. And then at the right guard, Campbell. And then at right tackle, do you Chapman or Brandon Baker? I mean, come on, man. Texas is in a great position. Our future says the interior D line next year. I'm not really worried about. Ever since the 2022 season, Bo Davis has shown he can develop and send players to the NFL. I have a sneaky feeling Dre Bledsoe is going to feast soon. The only thing about Dre Bledsoe, he's a little bit undersized, but I'm with you, Our Future. I like Dre Bledsoe. I think him next to a bigger bodied guy, I think Dre Bledsoe can be what Byron Murphy was to Sweat for somebody else on that line. And not to say Byron Murphy's on slouch. Byron Murphy's a dog, right? He's a dog. Like those guys are 1A, 1B. Those guys are both All-Americans, right? But I think Dre Bledsoe could be a Byron Murphy type player next to a Sadir Mitchell. Or he could be a Byron Murphy type player next to a 325-pound Alex January, or a combination of Sadir Mitchell, Alex January, DeAndre Robinson, Aaron Bryant, right? That's how deep we are there. Like we can put Dre Bledsoe and move him all around because he is a versatile player that positionless football. When we got to go to fast packages, folks, a fast package, I think Charlie Strong called it, like, back in the day, like a NASCAR package where you got, all you got to do is rush the passer. You got to rush the passer, right? You have Dre Bledsoe in the middle, and you got pass rushers, Colin Simmons on one edge, Baron Sorrell on one, linebackers, man, Anthony Hill, Benda, or Anthony Hill and LaFau and Blackwell. And then, oh man, it's beautiful. Folks, this is what it feels like, folks, when your team is damn good. Cape says, who do we have on tight end that's returning next year? Is Gunnar Helm coming back? Yeah, so Gunnar Helm, he's coming back. We got Juan Davis, we got Will Randall, and we got Spencer and Shannon. Those are our 4 tight ends. And so don't sleep on Gunnar Helm, folks. Don't sleep on Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm can ball, folks. He can ball. Like, don't sleep on Gunnar Helm, man. That dude is going to be something serious, man. He is going to be something serious, man. The only reason we haven't seen the best of Gunnar Helm is because he has a NFL tight end that is balling, right? I mean, he has a guy that's going to be if he leaves this year, if JT Sanders leaves, he's a first, second, or third. He's a second or third round pick, right? He's a second or third round pick, right? Brock Bowers is going to be the first tight end, as he should be. He's probably one of the best tight ends that we've probably all seen with our own eye in the last 25, 30 years. That's how good that Brock Bowers is. But look, I got a cousin who's an agent, and they say that Sanders, as far as upside, for the money, for the position that he might get picked this year, he might be more of a take because his upside is so great. And he wasn't featured here at Texas. He wasn't. Brock does things that are so different. Does things that are different. He's nasty. He's one of a kind, one of the best we've ever seen. But they're just talking about the potential and the upside that we haven't seen the best of JT Sanders yet, because he did have a guy like X and Adonai Mitchell and Jonathan Brooks. He had those guys on this team that were taking those opportunities away from him, right? So we haven't seen the best of JT Sanders yet. Yes, man, Harish, Sadir Mitchell. So me and Steven were at the OU game a couple years ago, and we saw him, and we got to meet him in person. Dude, he is huge. That's a big dude. He's huge. Pause. I didn't mean to say it like that. Pause. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, dude. That kid, he was 330 easy, 340 as a 17-year-old, right? So yeah. Yep. Look, folks, it's gonna be spicy. But folks, look here, man. It is. I've been on here for 53 minutes, man. Look, we started off talking about the recruits here at Texas and what Texas did bring in, starting with Matthew Golden here, coming from the portal from Houston. The second domino to fall was Andrew Makuba, coming from Clemson from the portal. And then also coming from the commits, we got Phil Sami for the 2024 class, 5-star plus safety. And also Emery Winston, 2025 tight end. Great pickups. And we still got more to come, folks. And yes, look, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Simeon, look, don't forget about Peyton Kirkland, the kid from Florida, but he's battling the injury right now. But yeah, he is a beast. He's a beast too, big guy. And then we got, look, Connor Stroh and Andre Kojo and Chapman, Agbo. Man, we are stacked. We are stacked. We're stacked. And then we got the class coming in this year, the Brandon Bakers. Um, who else we got? Brandon Bakers. I can't think right now because we got so many good players coming. Oh, and Trevor Gooseby. Trevor Gooseby. That's the guy that did. Oh man, look, I got to scratch all that. Trevor Goose is going to be your left tackle in the next couple of years, right? And then Neto, and then at the center, probably a Cole Hudson, and then after that, DJ Campbell, and then Cam Williams, and then the guys after that are going to be fighting and nipping are going to be Daniel Cruz at center and a Stroh and the Kojo at the guard positions, Chapman at the tackle position, the Brandon Bakers. Dude, we're stacked. We're stacked, folks. You have to love it. Our future says Trey Moore is announcing tomorrow. I think he is. I would expect Texas to hear great things. Did we just forget Alfred Collins? No, we didn't forget Alfred Collins. I think Alfred Collins, we got to figure out if he's coming back or he's going to the draft. That's the next big thing for Alfred Collins. What's next for him? I would love to have Alfred Collins back. Would love to have him back on the defensive line. And I think if Alfred Collins, if he looks at what Texas has done with Sweat and Murphy and how great those guys have been and how they're going to be picked very high in this draft this year, I would come back for another year and be the guy. I would bet on myself and be the dog, man. That's what I would do. But I'm not him. And you don't know people's situations and what they have to do. He might need to go to the league. I don't know. There's so many different situations behind the scenes that we just don't know about some of these players. So, if he has to go, then he has to go. I would want him to come back to Texas. I think that'd probably be the best decision for him and his team as well, because then he can show himself up against, against SEC competition on a much more significant snap count than what he's been getting here because he's been behind two All-Americans. Maybe Alfred Collins, next year could be that next All-American here for Texas. But folks, man, look, it's almost been an hour. It's almost been an hour, folks. I appreciate everything that you guys do. You guys helped me out a lot with this. I'm just glad that you guys are here on the channel. But on that note, folks, man, appreciate everything you do. And we're going to head out, folks, because it's been 57 minutes and 7 seconds. So continue to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And I'm out. Deuces.